Hey, don't knock on the mic anymore, right?
Hey, this is my first time, dude.
Stop it. All right. Get this party started.
But I don't want to talk too loud.
Talk as loud as you
Should I talk this closely?
That's pretty good.
All right. Yeah?
Looks good on the
Hey,
on the waves.
guys.
Can you hear me now?
No, I'll definitely get louder. So is this better?
Yeah, that's good.
Am I hitting the waves?
No, get closer.
Can you hear me?
You have to get closer.
Can you hear me?
Your waves were so small.
Oh, no, I can hear me.
Stop it.
Can you hear me now?
Welcome to Afterthoughts, everybody. This is a podcast where we rewatch movies, we compare our first and second impressions, and discuss a related topic. My name is Joshua Kazemi, and I'm here with my co-host, Coleman Taylor,
Hello.
and our very special guest, Ryan Larabee.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey.
All right. Today we're talking about Thor, in honor of Thor Ragnarok. And I'm just going to, up top, full disclaimer, we're recording this in June. In case things seem a little weird and we're talking about things that may not have happened yet or too early, whatever. Just to avoid all of that, we're recording a little early.
Just a little bit. A few months.
So, before we dive into our first and second impressions, Coleman, would you like to take us through the plot of
I
Thor?
would love to take us through the
Let's
plot.
do it.
All right, so there's this overly pompous guy, long blonde hair, huge biceps. He is the, I guess, Prince of Asgard, whatever he is, and he's supposed to take over, but his father, Odin, decides, hey, you're not ready yet because you keep wanting to fight things, and went and fought the Frost Giants for not really a good enough reason, so I'm going to banish you to Earth. And he banishes him to Earth where Natalie Portman, playing Jane Foster, is there and finds him. And she thinks he's a crazy person because he kind of is for Earth. He acts really strange for a human being. But he was around a phenomenon that she's investigating, which is like these, I guess, wormholes to another dimension. And so she's trying to get with him to figure out what these wormholes are while he is trying to get back to Asgard and because his hammer, which was also banished to Earth, and he can't pick up because it turns out he's not worthy of being Thor anymore. And so I guess that's where I'll stop.
It's his journey to become worthy.
Yeah, because it's his journey to become worthy, to become Thor again.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. So, who saw this in 2011 when it first came out?
Oh, I did.
I did.
I definitely did.
Absolutely.
Probably first weekend
Yeah.
it came out as well.
Yes. Okay. So, Ryan, you were saying before we started that you had some thoughts about what you thought about the movie before you saw it.
Sure, these are more so pre-thoughts, I guess you could
Okay.
say. So these are thoughts about the trailer more so. So I had my own expectations going into the movie, just based off the trailer, of course. After we had already seen Iron Man 2, and Hulk, we have a good basis of where the Marvel universe is going. You have these people on Earth that are gaining certain powers or building certain things, and then Thor is this mythological person in this otherworld location. I just thought it doesn't fit with the rest of everything that's been set up so far, which is Marvel. Now, I look at myself as a superhero guy, but really I'm a superhero movie guy. I love, superhero movies, don't know really anything about the comics. So I'm like a fake superhero fan.
Good for you to admit that.
I am honest in that, yeah. I've read very few comics, but I have read some. Spider-Man. Either way, going back to Thor, so seeing the trailer, one, I didn't know anything about Thor. I knew about Iron Man because of Cole and I guess his dad, really. I know that y'all at least knew about Iron Man before the movie came out, that he was an alcoholic billionaire that, has to build his own suit. Thor didn't really know how that belonged. Seeing the trailer, though, there was nothing about it that I thought was going to end well. To put it lightly, the angle shots galore, even in the trailers. You got the crazy, from the ground up, slightly twisted. Looks like, it was shot like Twilight. Like Twilight has very similar shots, which I think just to me screams low budget. And also the product placement. I mean, there was so many product tie-ins. Even in the trailer, you could see the Dr. Pepper in the background, the Dr. Pepper vending machine. Going through the movie the second time, only verified that even more, but we'll get to that later. And then the metal, the metal enemy guy that they can control, they can pilot in the movie, basically. That was what they sold as the enemy in the trailer. They didn't really sell Loki as the enemy so much. It was the metal guy that they had to fight. That was the big fight scene.
And I thought comics.
And I thought that looks like a lame enemy. Looks so derivative and stupid, like pointless. So that was what I thought going into it. I had really low expectations. Wasn't really caring to see it, but was going to anyways. Should we talk about first impressions
So
now?
what do you think when you finally saw it?
So whenever I went and saw it, of course, coming in with low expectations, I was blown away. I actually loved it. I really loved just how much of a struggle Thor had to go through, because, seeing someone with, so much confidence, overconfidence, cockiness, just running around like a child with a hammer, just being brought down to such a low level, and then have to build his way back up. I just thought was a great story, that, not really a lot of people can relate to, but it was at least fun to see that, these people had to go through struggles to find themselves again and become relatable, become human. This was someone who was just way too boastful. And I thought that was a good, plot for the movie, basically. That was something that I didn't know of going into it. I thought that, Thor was going to be like Superman, just like kind of, there's nothing to him that can really stop him. He's pretty invincible, But it was kind of new in that aspect.
Yeah.
I have a lot more to add unless y'all want to talk about that. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you brought up the trailer and then what your first impression was, because it reminds me of, I think The Onion put it out. It was before Iron Man first came out, they were like, here's the trailer of Iron Man, and like show the quick trailer or whatever. It's like, will the movie ruin what we know in the trailer of what has happened? Will the romance between Pepper Potts and Tony Stark be ruined by what happened?
It was like a fake news report that was like, breaking news, they're going to adapt the trailer that we all know and love into a feature-length movie. Are they going to ruin the trailer?
I actually remember seeing that article.
And
it was awesome.
It's so funny.
It's really funny.
Because, that's true. That's how we treat trailers. Like, this is what the trailer is, and hopefully the movie will be just as good.
Everyone loved the trailer so much that they saw that as, like, the basis for which the...
Stop there.
Yeah. They thought, man, that's great as it is. They better not ruin the trailer.
I know. But speaking just of Thor, though, I was super excited going into this movie. I already loved Iron Man, had seen it.
Yep.
Hulk, I still loved at the time, although we know now that Hulk's all right. But Thor, it's just more of what I'm interested in. It's mythological, got the kind of fantasy element, and that usually is just what I like. And
Right
so
down your alley.
I don't know, right there. And so when you add that into this already creative universe that we're just beginning to explore, I absolutely loved it the first time around. And it was funny, had action. I mean, just with the majority of Marvel movies, they're not the like most amazingly absolutely creative films you can see, but they're typically good, I would say.
Not creative in terms of like plot structure or action.
Right.
But in characters, I would say they are.
I would say in storytelling.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right. I'm just saying, in filmmaking in general, they don't
not the most
break
creative.
the mold or anything. It's just like, here's a interesting story with characters we're going to show you. And that's kind of how I felt, but like more up my alley because it's the like mythological fantasy element. And I loved Chris Hemsworth as well.
I agree.
So that was my general first impression.
And this was like the first movie that kind of made Chris Hemsworth popular, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He was like pretty much a no-name actor before.
Whatever. Had y'all seen Star Trek?
Come on.
Oh, yes. Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in this right here.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's pretty important. He gave birth to James D. Kirk.
Yeah. And
named
died
him.
for him.
Yeah, and named him.
Did name him.
So in high school, I had a buddy who was really into comics, and he was like, "Hey, they're about to start making connected Marvel movies." He was basically telling me about the Marvel Cinematic Universe before the trailer came out, before any of that stuff. He just was telling me about the announcements. He was like, "I have all these comics. We should read through them and get like pumped for it." So I started getting into the comics right before Iron Man came out. So when Iron Man came out, and it was awesome, I was just so sold into this universe. It's like, this is awesome. I'm so excited for this. The Avengers is going to be amazing. So by the time we get to Thor, I'm still just so juiced. I even liked Iron Man 2 when it came out. I was like, it's great. I don't know why everybody hates it. And so when Thor came out, I was like, yeah, man, this is awesome. And this is it's a whole nother side of the MCU. I was excited to see it. I thought it was really funny. I liked the action. I thought it struck like a really cool tone. It's like two worlds, a very fantasy world and a very like grounded New Mexico world. And I thought it did a good job of balancing the two. It didn't feel like the tone was all over the place. It was like one continuous tone despite two very different worlds. And I liked that. I thought it was funny. I thought he could fight more in it. Like I wish, my first impression, I thought he could have fought more in the movie. I would have liked that. But overall, I really liked the movie. And it just made me more excited for the world in general. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I've never understood why it's like not really people's favorite
I know.
first movie or whatever.
Me either.
I've always liked it.
I hate
So did we all kind of agree just then that we all liked the movie from the first impression?
Yeah.
Okay, because for a lot of that, I thought that you were talking about the comic books, and
Oh,
you
no,
were
I'm
building
sorry,
up the
no,
comic
no,
books,
no.
and I thought we were going to have a different
you hadn't
first
read the Thor
impression.
comic books, right?
No, I've only read Thor in other comics,
Right,
not
right,
a
right,
specifically
right.
Thor
Right.
comic. Like him as a part of the Avengers. I've read.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The one thing I really dislike about Thor, always have, even now, is his eyebrows in this movie.
Oh my god.
His eyebrows and his beard, they dyed it blonde.
dyed it
Yes.
real
I don't
blonde.
understand. He
I
looks
didn't-
so weird.
That really hit me this time around. I don't know
I
why it
agree.
didn't as much the first time around, but this time I was like,
Well,
oh,
when you first saw it, you had
They
nothing
look
to
so
compare it to.
bushy
in the
as
Avengers and
blonde.
everything since then, he's normal.
Yeah.
So looking back, it's like even weirder.
Yep.
Yeah.
I heard that's the director. That was the director's thing. He was like, if he's gonna play a Norse god, he has to be completely blonde.
Come on. Oh well.
Interesting. Well, I have a couple other points. I don't want to go too far in with first impression, of course, but anywho, with first impression, I guess we'll move into the next thing that I thought. Loki, of course, Tom Hiddleston was very new, very fresh to the screen, I think, as well. Like Chris Hemsworth, he was kind of a newer actor. But Loki was, everyone's big surprise, of course. Everyone fell in love with Loki because he was so good at being bad. But he started out being, like we all thought that he was good. You knew there was going to be that brother rivalry and everything, but you didn't know, it gave us a good reason as to why he became bad, which I thought, was very different from other type of movies where the villain's just bad, from the beginning. This one, it kind of threw us for a loop because he eventually became the main enemy. It wasn't the frost giants that we thought, that it, set the premise out to be. So Loki was a big surprise that I loved. And, like Cole said, the mythology, even though I disagreed with, I guess how it tied into the Marvel universe, not really being a true Marvel fan, I thought it was fresh. It was different from all other type of superhero movies that we've seen before. So I thought that was great. I can keep going with just a couple points real quick and then wrap it up. Natalie Portman, she, I think, had already been in Black Swan before this movie came out, maybe, which is why they nabbed her. That might have been somewhere around 2009 or 2010. But I didn't think, knowing of her as an actress, that was 2010. Knowing her as an actress, I didn't think she really fit with the rest of the tone of the movie. I mean, just knowing who she is. She's a very serious actress.
Have you ever seen Star Wars? Come on.
Oh, come on. I know. We've all seen that
It is
one.
tough when you have mostly no-name people in the leading roles, and then to have Natalie Portman, very established.
Right. She was, definitely the big name person this time around. But great actress. I just didn't think she was exactly the right fit for the character. And of course, Thor had that typical Marvel formula of, you've got good action and good humor. I love that balance. But as we learned, that becomes every single Marvel movie. We just thought, okay, Iron Man 1, it definitely has that, humor and action. Iron Man 2, oh yeah, it's like Iron Man. So, of course it's still going to have it. Thor, oh, I guess, that's it works with that too. Oh, now we're going to do that for all of the rest of the movies.
It's their staple.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting how you went in with not knowing about Loki, though, because it's also like Norse mythology. It's It's Marvel, and in Norse mythology, Loki's also evil. So I wonder how many people, like, if you don't know either of those things, went in, like, not knowing Loki's going to end up being the bad
I
guy.
feel like a lot of
remember
people.
Yeah.
When the Avengers came out, a lot of people were tweeting at Joss and talking about Loki specifically, about how they loved how he wrote the character, and a lot of people gave him credit for like creating that turn for Loki, and he would always tweet back, "Go watch Thor. Go back and rewatch Thor because that's in there. I didn't create that for Loki. It was always there, and they set him up really well in the first Thor movie for me to do what I did in the Avengers. I appreciate Joss for doing that, but it's true. Like the setup and build up for Loki is in this movie, and I think it's great
For sure.
And I mean, Tom Hiddleston's performance, he really nailed
really
it. Yeah. I mean, that wraps up pretty much all of my first impression. I mean, I was sold from that movie.
Right.
No.
So,
And just to clarify, we've all seen Thor like a ton of times before watching it again for this podcast.
well, like I said, I said it before we started the podcast. This was like my third time to completely see the movie. I saw it once in theaters, and I think only once outside of theaters. So
This has got to be like my third or fourth time.
Yeah,
seeing
I've definitely seen it at least 4. I'm going to say probably 5.
and I would say it's probably been 4 years since I last saw it, at least.
Yeah.
So there we go.
All right, should we do seconds?
Let's do
On
it.
to those
Let's do it. All right, who wants to go first?
afterthoughts.
Oh, I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So still wonderful. Love it overall.
All right.
I mean, we've come to know more about the Marvel universe, so you have to add it into that. But I still think overall, especially where it was in the universe, I still think it's fantastic. The flaws definitely stuck out more to me this time.
Sure.
Definitely.
I agree.
Definitely. Most of my flaws, again, it comes up like almost every time in the podcast, is with the antagonists. Loki, mostly Loki,
Interesting.
and a little bit of Odin. Mostly their motives.
Okay.
We can get into that if we want. But
Odin's the classic motive.
Why
of,
not?
I have to keep this from you to protect you.
Yep.
But it's never like when has that ever been a great
Nope.
character
Just
motivation?
tell him he's a frost.
it never works.
It never works.
It never works.
You're good.
I mean, but you can understand it though. I mean, to save the pain, like it's truly a selfish thing.
Yeah.
Like in the end, Odin did it selfishly, even though he was trying to protect, quote unquote, Loki. He wanted to use Loki as a tool to join the two, the Frost Giants and the Asgardians together.
And not only that, just the negative implications of him finding out are much greater than him telling him when he's younger.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you're pitting it against another son who's naturally born and there's a kingship involved. I mean, it's just it's bad news no matter what.
Yeah.
You're an adopted son of your enemy living in your household.
Yeah. Had he explained from the beginning, whenever I stole that, weapon, I also took you and, raised you as my own and have come to love you like a normal person should, things would have ended a little differently. He wouldn't have turned against him in that.
And I still don't know what that would have looked like. I'm sure that still would have scarred him. I just don't know.
Yeah.
It would have been definitely better than waiting. If I say definitely one more time,
I'll just have like a buzzer sound or something.
Yeah. I think it would have been better still if he told him when he was younger.
Yeah.
I actually felt, the second time around, I felt more bad. I felt worse for Loki this time around.
More bad.
More bad. I felt, worse because even though he says, hey, we're both, going to become king, or, Odin says, you were both born to become kings. And even though he doesn't explain that, Loki's the king of the Frost Giants, they still build up Thor. Like you could tell that they favorited Thor. And so Loki always had to deal with that growing up. So, I mean, you kind of feel bad for him, from the start, even though they try and balance it out. But I thought that was something that helped the audience connect with Loki more and, helped the audience understand why he turned against the family. What I also thought was interesting, seeing it a second time around, you could just tell all the little seeds that Loki was planting into every sort of situation to make things turn out where he was above Thor, like in the beginning, you weren't sure, whenever he's talking to Thor, oh, we definitely shouldn't go to the Frost Giants. Father would hate that. I mean, you could tell from the, first movie that what he's trying to do is really get Thor to go. Like he's manipulating him constantly throughout the movie. But it's, coming in through, it's a lot more noticeable this time around.
And that's my thing with Loki. There's definitely more turning of betrayal later on in the movie, but he was already doing evil things early on. He lets the frost giants in. He convinces Thor to go fight them, and he uses the excuse of like making the time Thor would become king longer. But I don't know. It's still not good enough for me. He's already bad in the beginning for some reason, even though he's grown up in this home. And then just later on, his motives just seem so bizarre to me. He hears Odin's complaints to Thor about fighting the frost giants, but then thinks killing all the frost giants will like please his father.
Right.
And then also like he lets them in at one point. It's so strange to me. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I see what you're saying. The whole premise is, you don't want to just go in and fight anyone. And Thor is the one who's, a victim of doing that. Or not necessarily a victim, but, he's the one to blame for wanting to do that. And Loki was always on the sidelines thinking, I know you're not supposed to do that. But to your point, it doesn't really make sense that in order to prove himself to Odin, he's going to do exactly what Thor wrongly did at the beginning of the movie by destroying the frost giants. Mm-hmm. But this one is a little different because Loki knows he is a frost giant at this point. I think that, he has a different tie to them than Thor does. Thor sees them as just enemies. Loki sees them as why he is so weak, his weakness with his relationship with his father. He sees them as the reason why he is not good enough. Yeah. And not necessarily, we just need to put them in their place, but I want them to be gone so that, Odin will have, he won't have this hate for me anymore. Mm-hmm. It's different, but it is the same flaw that he went about it the completely wrong way.
Yeah, he did the same exact thing instead of learning. Mm-hmm. And even before that, his motives still seem odd. Just, I don't know, letting the frost giants in the first place just to cause havoc when he doesn't. I mean, yeah, he's kind of jealous of Thor, but I still don't think that justifies him, especially if he doesn't know he's a frost giant yet, just letting frost giants into the Asgard to potentially destroy everything if you're just trying to, like, harm Thor. It makes it seem like he's already more evil than he is.
In the very beginning?
In the very beginning.
Yeah, well, I mean, he knows that by, he's kind of stirring the pot. He wants to show that Thor is not right to be king and that Loki is instead, that he's the better, well-balanced, heir to the throne. He's trying to just, he's being bad by doing it, but I mean, it is
not as ready.
True. Yeah. He's true.
He's selfish.
He's trying to steal it. I mean, that's what he's doing. He's trying to steal it by forcing Thor's hand to go fight them.
It didn't seem to me like Loki was this character who had like a master plan with all these different steps. He just seemed very like reactionary and immature.
Correct.
Which makes sense to me like as the quote unquote god of mischief. Like that's his character. He's gonna try to just keep stirring things up for his own gain. Yeah,
I think it went a little further than he expected it to. I don't know if he had the idea that Thor was going to be banished to Earth. Oh, yeah. I think he just saw it as Thor was going to be seen as not ready. It would go to Loki. That could have been what he thought. I have something. What?
And he also just invites them to his planet to act like they're going to kill Odin, and then kills them himself. But it's really hinted at that Odin sees everything while he's asleep. So I don't really understand. Is he like tricking him? But he can't because he would know that he.
I missed that part. Giants. Odin sees everything while he's asleep.
They're talking. They're fighting way far away from where Odin is. Yet they seem to understand that he knows that they're fighting right then.
Really?
Which he wouldn't. I think so.
I don't know.
I don't remember that part. I mean, I know that he sheds the tear. That one part? When,
there's that. But like when they're way off fighting, they seem to act like they talk about things that happened while he's asleep, as if he already knows them. I could be way off.
Maybe they just talk about him more like a king, like just on his throne. They talk about him. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what you're referring to, Cole.
We'll watch it a fifth, sixth time.
Coming back to third afterthought.
Yeah.
So rewatching it this week, I think I like it about the same, but there are definitely parts of it that I noticed more so than ever before. Like, I remember this movie being funnier. I think all the jokes are still really funny, but I maybe remember there being just more of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like there are some droughts where there aren't really that many jokes.
Yeah, there were some elements to it where I thought it was like constantly fun, constantly keeping up, like a lot of energy throughout the whole movie. Whereas this, it does have those slow down parts.
Yeah.
I knew they had the romance situations with Jane Foster and Thor. But all the silly little city, the town moments where they're just walking through and chatting and stuff. I mean, I know they help push the story along, but I forgot some of those too. I know what you mean.
And you mentioned it earlier, but I totally noticed it so much this time. There are so many Dutch angles in the movie. The tilted camera angle, it's just like every other shot. And it's an interesting technique that you can use properly, but when you overdo it, like anything else, it becomes meaningless.
It was like 80% of the
so
movie.
So much of it.
There was so
tilted.
much.
It's crazy.
And like I said, the product placement. Like I forgot there was a 7-Eleven in every single shot where they're in the town, or a USA Today in the back. It just was like, please stop. We get it. 7-Eleven did a little promotion with you, but. I mean, I didn't know that everything revolved around 7-Eleven. I mean, that's what's important here.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else really, really miss actual Phil Coulson? Like, this is Phil Coulson
absolutely.
in the movie. He's not this character anymore in the show. I miss real Phil Coulson.
I'm glad I don't watch the show.
He was such a great part of Phase 1. He was so great.
He was so annoying. Like I felt so bad for the the science team and everything whenever they were saying, "Oh, sorry, we got to take it's confiscated. It's ours now. It's not yours." And I was like, I would totally cuss them out, make them take me with them and oversee all the products and everything. But yeah, it was
Cole.
great.
He calls him Son of Cole the whole time.
Laughed.
Son of Cole?
We had to rewind it because I was watching it with my dad and brother, and they missed it. And they're like, I want to hear that. I was like,
Come on, Son of Cole.
Son of Cole.
It's so great. That's what Thor calls him.
No way.
Yeah, because he's Odin's son.
Oh, Coulson. Okay, I completely missed that.
It's so great.
My goodness.
I love that.
That is great.
I miss you, Coulson.
I know.
Something I noticed this time around, this is very off base, but still, of course, related to the movie, was watching this reminded me a lot of this first Star Trek reboot. So I looked it up, and Star Trek, with Chris Pine, the first movie came out in 2009.
Yeah.
And this came out in
11,
exactly. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of similar elements in that you got the cocky captain and Thor being the team leader, taking his team to an unknown planet. Well, they know it, but to a planet they know they shouldn't go to. Mm-hmm. And then, crap hits the fan. And then they get in trouble for it. The same stuff happens with, the Starfleet and Chris Pine, or Captain Kirk. And this time, Thor, he gets rejected. Even the way that they were flying through the bridge, what was that called? But either way, the Rainbow Bridge, the little transporter, whenever they go in there,
I think that's what it's called.
It had very similar special effects to the hyperspace jumps that they had in Star Trek as well.
Oh, the Bifrost.
Yeah, the Bifrost. Yes, there you go. Thank you. And then you've got the foolish, overconfident Thor. You've got the very analytical Loki, very similar to Captain Kirk and to, oh my gosh.
Thor?
No.
Wait.
Huh?
Captain Kirk?
What?
Spock?
Spock. Spock. I completely lost it for a second there. But it was like a similar relationship between the two in the very beginning, of course. And the fact that Chris Hemsworth is in Star Trek. It's just like so many ties. And then, of course, it takes a turn. But, Chris... there's just so many similar tones that carry throughout both movies, and I feel like the director kind of stole some of it from it. My own idea, just this time around. This time around. It felt very similar in a lot of aspects. But that was just something I noticed. Way off base, but I thought that was pretty interesting.
But a difference I really like with Thor that I really noticed this time around is that, I think you touched on it a little bit, Ryan, but so Robert Downey Jr. anchors Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a known actor at the time. He was coming back, but everybody knew who he was. Nobody really knew who Chris Hemsworth was.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that. I liked that they picked the best actor for the role. Like Marvel continually picks the best actor for the role, no matter if they're well known or known or not. Like they picked Chris Evans for Captain America, even though we knew him as the Human Torch. Like I like their commitment to just picking good actors, and they didn't feel the need to like anchor Thor with a known actor. Yep. And I really appreciated that because Chris is great.
Yeah, I was about to jump into that. Chris Hemsworth, I think, is my favorite part of this movie by far.
I agree.
It's like I think he carries that character so well. I was thinking about it because then you think about the other Marvel characters, and yes, they do pick who they want in their roles very, very well. Especially thinking of Robert Downey Jr. Playing Tony Stark, obviously a perfect match. But I was just thinking how. I guess it's just because he's otherworldly. How I think Chris Hemsworth is so does so well at Thor, just portraying this otherworldly person. Because Tony Stark has very human qualities to him, while Thor has human qualities, but is very much not of the Earth at the time, and does absolutely outlandish things. And just even the way he carries himself about doing those things, his mannerisms, and he's literally always just bowing up constantly.
Yeah, his posture. I mean, I completely agree.
I think he might be my favorite pick for a Marvel character. It comes real close because they're all so good.
They're all really good.
But I think he might be number 1.
That's so funny because I felt the exact same way. Like from seeing Avengers, any other type of follow-up movie, Thor has been the character that I love seeing the most on screen because of just for that reason. He emulates this godlike character that he's like, I'm above you. You can't really do anything to me. Let me just destroy you real quick. Oh, such petty humans. This is hilarious. He has such hubris, and he just, emulates, that cocky, godlike character. And come on, he is a beautiful man. I mean, we saw him without his shirt, and I gotta say, man, I was like, I want to be Thor right now. I wish I was Chris Hemsworth.
This was going to come up. Of course,
it's the Norse god in the room.
Every single time I see that movie, I think, well, time to hit the gym. Got to get like him now. And then after 2 weeks, I give up and say, why am I this skinny?
He's amazing.
Oh.
He was perfect. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters by far. But I'm looking forward to, of course, Spider-Man.
Yes. We'll see. Okay, so Thor Ragnarok, kind of a question. In Thor Ragnarok, what we've seen in the trailer so far, he loses Mjolnir, his hammer. Yeah. Right. So in this movie, it makes it seem as though his power comes from Mjolnir. Is that correct?
That's how they kind of set it up. So he has his strength, which he loses. I think he has his strength without Mjolnir. The ability to fly, he can only do that because of Mjolnir.
Yeah.
I think calling the lightning is also through Mjolnir. And I don't know enough,
because the metal thing hits him in the face and flings him back, and he gets all scratched up.
Yes.
But I feel like he's taken harder hits than that as Thor with Mjolnir.
I think I think the whole, that's pretty interesting. I think the whole reason that made him get his powers back, made him worthy, was because he was brought down to the level of a human. I think it was more, possess the power of Thor is what Odin said whenever he was, passing on, he was sending Mjolnir away. I think just whoever picked it up was going to have more than just Mjolnir, more than being able to wield Mjolnir, whatever. But
that's what they call it.
Meow meow.
Meow meow. That's all they say.
I think it is the strength, the otherworldly, strengthened. I guess I don't know what outside of strength he really gets apart from stuff through Mjolnir.
I think it is mostly just strength, godlike strength he has, and then
and aging probably is different.
Yeah.
Oh sure.
And then. Yeah, Mjolnir adds more on top of that.
Okay.
He already had the strength, and he has to be worthy to wield the Mjolnir, but then it gives him more powers, such as creating a tornado. Yes. Which I wish he would do more of.
Yeah, all the time, man.
All the time.
Yet the town was perfectly fine, except for a couple cars.
Nope.
It just disappears. I thought that the progress, the whole, I only have to face the, metal giant once, get hit and practically almost die to get the the hammer back. I thought that was too simple for him to be worthy. Like, are there not other people out there that would also do the same thing? You've got the military. You got all sorts of people that sacrifice their life all the time. Was there not one person out there who has not done more than that? Stand up for your friends. Yeah. One time. One time.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like, that's what kind of... I thought that it was just too simple to bring it back, deem him worthy. But, it's the movie. So...
It's the movie. I mean, it's hard to say because I think he's the first Marvel character to do that. I don't think Tony Stark... No one else willingly was said, I will die right here. They might have fought.
At this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned Captain America later on. He's the one that jumps on the grenade, and of course,
and he even can almost pick up the hammer.
We saw it, but we saw that up. Avengers 2.
Yeah. But another thing I really love about this one is it's like the epitome of Thor not knowing how to act on Earth. Yeah. And I love that. And I wish it was like constantly like that. We get little like tiny bits in Avengers and stuff when he doesn't know what they're talking about, but this is like the epitome of I don't know the social structure and status of Earth at all.
And throwing the coffee cups down. Another.
And just like walking around and like
I need a horse.
Street, like constantly.
Give me one of those that's big enough to ride.
I wish it continued, just constantly finding new ways that Thor does not understand Earth.
I hope that they do that in the next one. Just have some reason, something that he can't connect to that all the rest of the humans, understand. I hope we can see that because that's what makes it. Yeah, I love it.
I love that. And I do love that he had to be humbled in this movie. That he was, because Tony Stark is like a billionaire, but he has flaws and he like knows them. I don't even think Thor thought he had any flaws in the beginning. He was literally a god, quote unquote, or was strong enough that Norse people thought he was gods, however they want to spin that. And then had to like find out he had flaws. And I really love that about this movie compared to other characters, which I think they at least knew they had some kind of flaw. Like Tony just didn't care about his flaws. He like just did what he wanted. Sure. Like he knew he was selling arms to people, but he just didn't care.
Didn't like come to terms with it until his movie.
Right.
Well, so watching this week, I think my ultimate takeaway is that what I love about this movie is Thor and the introduction of that character. It's not necessarily the movie or the story that's being told in this particular piece. But it's just, I love the introduction of the character. I love Chris. And that's why I think I've always looked back at Thor like, yeah, that movie's great. When really, I think the movie is good. Not as great as a lot of movies we've seen since.
Yeah. It's a little derivative. Yeah. A little simplified.
But I forgive it because of Chris Hemsworth and because of the introduction of this great character.
And this is what I don't forgive about later Marvel movies. They're still pretty derivative.
Yes.
There's some that kind of start to try and break the mold, but I don't even think they've done that yet.
Civil War, I felt,
don't even
that.
get me started on Civil War. We've had a whole podcast on it.
Did a great job.
No, it didn't.
Oh, come on.
Great movie.
Yeah,
great
whatever.
movie.
2 against 1.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Civil War.
Yeah, we're having one right now.
Yeah, we are. Let's go round and round.
Oh, man.
The one I thought the biggest issue with Thor was Jane Foster's character, which of course we see less and less of as
and she's gone at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Her character, I mean, she was pointless in this movie.
Thor loves her.
The only reason
for her.
Yeah, but
does he meet another Earth girl?
Does he
though?
really?
It's Kat Dennings. That's it. It's like he met one Earth girl and he fell in love with her.
Oh, I'm sure he saw others.
Show her two other girls and let him see if he really likes her or if it's just like, oh, it's an Earth girl.
And she just played that victim the whole time. She was that simple. There wasn't too much to her, that made her, like more than just that damsel in distress. She was scientific. She was smart. She had all of her research that connected her to the wormholes, the Bifrost and everything. But there wasn't more outside of that. Yeah. I mean, she just became a problem. She was in the way. She was a reason why Thor, was
to compare her to like Gwyneth Paltrow in the Iron Man movies. I think she's a stronger character than Jane Foster is in Thor. So it's a good point.
Yeah. You know who I thought was funny to add in? Hawkeye. Because he does.
Yeah, we had our first
afterthought of Thor.
First look of him.
But he like just gets in a tower, has a bow and arrow ready, and then goes down. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Aims
It's
it
just
and
like,
pulls
hey,
it back.
we have a
It's like, hey,
character
Coulson,
here.
can I do my thing or
Nope.
just wait the whole
Okay.
time? I got him.
All
I got him. Let me do it. No,
Oh, nope. All right.
just hang in there.
All right. I'll see you later.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
And of all the powerful guns, he's like, oh yeah, I think a bow and arrow is the one that's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
do it. No. What in the world?
Man,
Hawkeye's
Hawkeye
still
is not
a
a
little-
character we should have seen until he like could really be done justice to. And I would say in Avengers 2.
Yep.
I did not respect that character until Avengers 2 because he just didn't have screen time.
And it's not fair. In Avengers 1, he was a bad guy the whole time.
Avengers 2 was, Scarlett Johansson, the Black Widows. It was more so for her and the Hulk, I guess.
Yeah.
In Avengers 2.
The
It
characters
was
that
their
don't have
development.
their own movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I agree, though.
And
Hawkeye, just poor guy, man. He just doesn't fit
He
in.
was great in Avengers 2.
And I liked him in Civil War. I think they know what to do with him now.
Yeah. Oh,
They give him
someone's still-
explosive arrows,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and put
Or-
Ant-Man on his arrow.
And great dialogue.
So cool.
At this point.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got the comedic element. Yeah, he's fun. And the Family Man, of course.
Uh-huh.
I'm a fan
as
of
we
Jeremy
saw.
Renner, okay? He's just-
I do love Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
He had his time. It kind of ended after the Bourne.
I think a weaker actor
spin-off,
in that role would be disastrous. Like Jeremy carries it as best as he can.
Yep.
Which that was also a new, I guess, spin
Yeah, I
for
think
him as well, right?
Hurt
I
Locker
don't
was
really
like
know much
09,
before that.
and
What
then
was?
Hurt Locker was
Locker.
09.
Oh yes, Hurt Locker.
then-
That was huge. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
But that was kind of it. It was Hurt Locker, and then he started being in all these big franchise movies.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, The Town.
These and I
Yeah,
guess
I
the
guess he
Town
was.
and Mission
Yeah.
Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, he kind of exploded.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
We love him. Okay, that's kind of the epitome of my thought of Thor. I mean, I loved it the first time around. Second time around, the CGI, of course, is a little more dated.
Yeah, I
It's
think it's
very
just
heavily CGI, but you
Keep
can't
getting
really
worse
do
as
much.
time goes by. We're gonna look back at it in a while and think, "Oh, this is pretty bad."
I love their
that's how
set
every-
pieces, though. Like, I mean, whenever they're not using CGI, all the gold, all the glow. I mean, I just love the cinematography when they're
Asgard.
actually in a real building. Like, even in the Bifrost, you could tell that's an actual set with all the intricate details of, like the sundial looking stuff. I thought that was, great. Great. Money well spent.
I just love Thor movies.
Yeah, me
you
too.
go. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, I like the Dark World.
I like the
I don't
Dark
care.
World.
Who knows?
I actually do. I don't know. I thought number 2 was great.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
I thought it was
I'm
too.
so
Yeah.
excited.
I've only seen it once, though.
Yeah.
I might need to see it again.
I've seen it twice.
I've seen it twice.
Thor, man. I'm so pumped for Ragnarok.
Yes, me
oh my
too.
gosh.
I mean, I feel like the immigrant song, how it's played in the trailer, that's been played a lot more these days. I remember it was for a Destiny trailer that was actually very similarly shot in ways. It's such a build-up song that just gets anyone pumped no matter what. And then, of course, it like threw up the retro look of Thor
Yeah.
Ragnarok that had that very Guardians of the Galaxy feel to it, as people on the internet said, as Guardians of the Galaxy. So
That's very good.
that's what this one kind of looked like, which it kind of felt like, but I also really am excited for.
too.
I love the first Guardians. Second Guardians, a little questionable, but
Well, okay, so should we switch into topic time?
sure. All right, yeah, I think we're already
Hardcore
doing
in
it.
MCU right now.
We're
Let's
already
do
doing
it.
it.
Topic time. Yet another discussion on this podcast about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but let's do it. We
Yeah.
got to.
I mean, if you're tired of hearing about this, please tweet at us. We might change it
let
up
us know.
because this is the third one. But
This is a
if
very
you like
niche
us talking about
discussion.
it, then great.
Great. So Ragnarok, I want to ask. I've mentioned this to you, Coleman, a couple times, and I honestly need to double check it at this point. But I'm just gonna say it again. I don't know if it's a joke or not, but the director has stated that he has not watched Thor 1 or 2. The director of Thor 3. He said,
No way.
I haven't seen Thor 1 or Thor 2. I just wanted to make a good Thor movie.
And I still
If it's a
feel the
joke,
same.
it's hilarious,
Yeah,
and
if
I
it's a-
trust his
right.
humor. If it's not a joke, very interesting.
I would
Very
hope,
interesting.
I would think, as a director, you would have to have seen. As the
Kevin
director of
Feige's
Thor
like,
3,
you have to sit
have
down
to
and
have
watch
seen
them.
the other two.
Come
you
on,
have to
man.
know the story, know the set pieces, what they look like.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Unless you just say, art department, make it look like the other two. I mean, yeah, you could do that, but
But where does Thor Ragnarok take place?
I don't know.
Ragnarok?
I think
Ragnarok
there's
is the end of the world.
I don't know this.
there's one sequence on Earth, and the rest is in space. I think.
So,
because
it's-
I feel like this is going to be not completely unrelated, but unrelated to in so much as anywhere we've been and anything that's happened. Like we'll take this character, but But is it on Asgard and Earth at all?
I think so clearly from the trailers it does show Asgard because my God, hotness, Kate Blanchett. Holy cow. Did they make her look amazing in this? I didn't even know it was her at first. I made her look so much younger. But she looks fantastic, scary, and like powerful. You could see like she takes over that place like nobody's business, but it shows her taking over Asgard is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the rest is, in some other planet, I guess.
I think it's on some other like combat planet where they force people to fight.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like to me. Like, it'll have some of Asgard there and some hints, but it seems to mostly take place in completely new places.
Yeah.
Unless I'm off.
Now,
Which is exciting to me. That's cool.
now, Valhalla, was that in number 2? Isn't there something about Valhalla either in this one or was it in the
Well,
last
his
one at all?
visions in Ultron, but I don't know if they say Valhalla specifically.
Yeah, Valhalla is like the place they go after they die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But I thought that, it was, you're right. Because in the first one he says you would have thought you died and gone to Valhalla. But I thought for some reason it actually was a location.
There was a character cut from Ultron named Hel that Thor was going to interact with. It was that woman in the trailer. She was in the trailers for most of them. And it was just a quick shot of her in front of like the fountain that he gets into. But they cut her from the movie. So I don't really know what role she was supposed to play.
Interesting. But I'm looking forward to Jeff Goldblum for one. Even though I don't know the actress that much, I think the character Valkyrie will be very cool.
She's the girl from Creed, right?
Creed.
She was in the Creed movie with Michael B. Jordan, I think.
Oh, was she like the partially deaf one?
Yeah.
I guess.
I think that's her. And she was great in Creed.
Yeah.
Creed was a great movie.
Yeah.
I was so
Haven't
surprised
seen
about
Creed
that.
yet.
Watch Creed.
I'll watch it.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It'll get you. But no, this one looks like a ton of fun. Of course, we're gonna have that Thor Hulk battle that we've already, I guess, kind of seen once before, haven't we?
I don't want that rematch.
When was that? Was that in Avengers?
Avengers 1.
Yeah, whenever they were fighting on this on their little fleet ship, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
cool.
I'm pretty sure Thor was added originally into the Marvel Universe just to have someone who could compete with Hulk in strength. Because he's a god.
Yeah.
And so
Good
they're
decision.
like, can we tie this in so like anyone can match Hulk in strength? Like at least one person.
Yeah.
Because Hulk has completely unimaginable strength that no one can compete against.
And that's the thing I love about Thor is, for being human size, he can just take on anything with his bare hands. Like, he just like, I don't care. I'll just beat the crap out of it. There's nothing, you can do to stop me. I'll just punch you and pulverize these enemies and bad people, with his hands, which just makes it so cool. And you just kind of wish that you could have that same power as well.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the fight with Hulk, whereas this time he won't have Mjolnir.
Yeah, I know.
That's a great move. Third movie, get rid of Mjolnir. I think that's just so good.
Yep.
Such a great way to start.
So great.
Anyhow. So I think we've
Thor's gonna
over-Thored.
die,
No.
Gonna
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. And what do you think about his haircut, man?
die. Looks wonderful.
Yeah.
They chop it? Yeah,
Cool with it.
I was totally... I thought that it was like they were adding on a wig afterwards because there was some magazine that came out with his short hair, and I was like, that's not really what it's going to be. That can't be it. And then you see it, and I think, why did you do that?
I wonder if he'll have his locks back for Infinity War.
I wonder.
Or if he'll have Mjolnir back.
We'll see.
Like, is Mjolnir gone forever?
Or if he'll be dead.
He could be dead.
Could be dead.
Who knows?
Or
We
no
will
one
see.
from Marvel will ever die, so.
Yeah. Did you know that they brought Yondu onto the third Avengers set and had pictures of him on set to confuse everyone for the end of Guardians 2?
That's amazing.
Spoiler.
James Gunn did that. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That is a spoiler. But come on. It's been a long time.
Well,
at
I
this
didn't
point.
say anything in particular. I just said they brought it on just to throw off.
That's amazing.
But
That's
yep.
Yeah,
brilliant.
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Good
That's
job,
awesome.
guys.
Yeah, look it up. Yeah.
I will.
Oh, that's great.
So what other thoughts about MCU, man?
Okay, so I have a question about Marvel music, the scores in the movie. Because the past 6 months or so, people have complained online, just bringing up the fact that the MCU music could be better, could be more memorable. And I just wanted to know what y'all's thoughts on that were, because I definitely have thoughts.
I mean, just knowing what it is, the intro, well, that was kind of a bad way of doing it, but
No, keep going, please. It's great radio. Great radio.
We do it a lot on the podcast. We hum plenty of music.
Yeah, we do.
I love their music as it is. You know,
pumped.
And even in Thor, like whenever it had those like violin, like sad moments when it stretches out, you got slow mo. It's like, oh, the bad guy's gonna have to go in and fight and die. Oh no! You can really just it's really heartfelt. I feel like they really do bring in those. They can really bring you up and they can really bring you down. I mean, I think they're good at what they do currently.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's its own thing. Like it's not like Star Wars. It's not like Indiana Jones or anything like that. It is its own brand of style, I think, which works for Marvel.
I think it's true that they could be more memorable because even just thinking here, I can't think of that many I particularly remember compared to maybe some other movies, although it's usually just the intro score. So I guess, but even this intro score isn't as memorable, but I still don't think being the most memorable is what makes a good score or not.
Sure, yeah.
And as long as
that's a good point.
Does what it is supposed to do in the movie while you're watching it, I don't necessarily have to remember the movie afterwards.
That's like the criticism I hear a lot is that they're not as memorable or people can't hum them off the street or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's film score. It's not pop music.
Right.
It's not built to be memorable. It's built to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
And I might not be able to hum all the different themes for all the different characters, but each of them does have their own cinematic theme.
Yeah.
And if you played them for me, I could probably tell you which one is which because they're all really good. And the Avengers one, I love a lot. The Avengers theme is so fun, and it gets me pumped. I think it's great score, but they just to compare it to Star Wars or Indiana Jones, I think is unfair. Because they market those franchises with the score, and they don't really market any of the Marvel movies with their scores. Yeah. They use a lot of pop music in the trailers.
You're right. They do. I mean, just like I was saying with Immigrant Song, they do use pop music these days. A lot of retro references ever since Guardians. I mean, so even with Iron Man, you had AC/DC.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do. They just advertise it differently. But in the movie, of course, they have the score. Right.
Yeah, and it's great.
And I mean, just comparing it to like Suicide Squad, which has a lot of poppy music, because Marvel, it's very character based. So each character has their own score, and then there's different songs for maybe the action sequences and things that are going on. While in Suicide Squad, it's also very character based, and each character has this kind of poppy song associated with them, or not always, but sometimes. And those songs are more memorable, but does that make it a more effective score overall? I think we would disagree that score wasn't used well. So I don't think it being memorable is what qualifies it as a good score.
Right. I agree with that as well. I mean, I think that's just people picking apart something just because they want, to feel like they're better, than these creators.
I still wouldn't necessarily disagree with them. I would say it
could be better. It could be more memorable.
Literally could be more memorable because they aren't the most memorable.
You can tighten it up a little bit. I mean, you've got the, whenever they're spinning around in Avengers, when they all band up together, you got the do 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 do.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. And
love that,
and similar to I mean, I know I'm just doing too many tangents, but the new Marvel, the way that they reveal Marvel, whereas it has the almost glass panels and different cuts from each movie. You've got Hawkeye, you've got what is the other Hawk character?
Hawk Girl.
No,
that's DC.
The other Hawk character.
No, you got Hawkeye, the Falcon guy.
Oh, Falcon, yeah.
It's just Falcon?
Sam Wilson.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you got all of their cuts. I love how it takes that side, kind of the glass panels of each of the different characters' movies, like individual from their own and from Avengers, and then it shows Marvel. I just love how they changed that. It was such a surprise whenever it first came on screen.
Yeah.
Just because we're used to the comic books just flapping around the place and everything like that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think it's great. I think they're going in such good directions.
Oh, yeah.
Although I was totally, while you were saying that, hoping they did name Falcon Hawk Guy. So then we could be confused the whole time.
Hawkeye and Hawk Guy.
Hawkeye and Hawk Guy.
Oh, my God. Ridiculous. All right. Another question I had for y'all. People online seem to be really adamant that they want to see MCU TV characters in Infinity War. that they'll be disappointed if they don't see Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Infinity War in some capacity. What do y'all think about that?
I don't care about the TV shows, so
Because you don't watch any of them,
I
right?
don't watch them.
Okay.
Really? I thought
That's
that you
fair.
watched
I
Daredevil.
did watch the first season of Daredevil.
The whole first season?
There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
It took me a long time.
Did you see Jessica Jones?
No.
That was actually a great show.
I think that's the best of them.
That's all I've seen though.
Okay.
But I thought it was a great show. I loved it. It was really dark.
yeah, it's very dark, but
and,
it's awesome.
yeah.
It's the best. I think it's the best of the MCU TV stuff.
Interesting. Better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I don't even talk about. I don't even. Think
Disappointment of a show.
that
Really?
to me is like if you were watching like new. Like Teen Titans,
Sure.
I guess it's kind of like Teen Titans. It's almost like Ninja Turtles, but like a bad version. Like I would watch the original cartoons, but it's just like it's too. I don't know. It's too much like all of the other shows on TV,
Yeah.
where like you got like Once Upon a Time, you've got Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah.
It's too much of this like silly dramatic play. I haven't seen too much of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
seen a lot.
honestly.
And you're
I haven't, but that's just what I notice from the show. It reminds me of like Supernatural or
Sure.
anything like that. It's not a lot like Marvel. It just uses Marvel characters to tell the
Yes.
same story as every other show on TV.
I really like the characters in Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., except for Coulson, because he's not Coulson. But all the other characters are very good. And I wanted to stand up on its own 2 feet, but it's just, that feeling you got when you watched Phase 2 movies and you were like, why isn't Captain America in this helping you? Like we wanted them to be together again in all the individual Phase 2 movies. It's like that to the max. It's like torture to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and think, oh, there are so many other more interesting characters that we could play in this world, but we're just not seeing them.
Yeah.
And it's torture. And it's 22 episodes, 40 minutes each. At this point in like TV history, it's too much. It's too long. We want like 10 to 13 episodes that are really well crafted instead of like filler episodes.
Well, I mean, the Netflix series kind of do that. I mean, I know you're referring to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., really, but I mean, I haven't seen the other, I haven't seen The Defenders, I guess is what it is.
Defenders
That was
isn't out
mostly-
yet. It
Oh,
might
it's
be
not?
at this point if we're
It
releasing
may
this in
be,
November.
but you got Daredevil. Iron Fist apparently flopped with everyone. And then you got Luke Cage, which I actually wanted to see, but I just kind of haven't seen.
I've seen the first 2 seasons of Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and all 3 are really good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Luke Cage or Iron Fist yet. But I'm excited for the Defenders. I think that's going to be a cool show. And I would like to see them in Infinity War. It's like I wouldn't not want to see them in Infinity War, but I don't need that. Like the cinematic universe is kind of its own thing, and I'm fine with that. I don't need to see those characters interact with the film characters. It would be cool, but it's not like a necessity for me.
No, it's not necessary to me too. Especially just they've already reintroduced. Well, I guess Phase 2 is Phase 2 where like the Vision and Ant-Man and all them are in.
That's the tail end of Phase 2, yeah. Now we're in
Okay.
Phase 3.
Yeah, I mean, we've already just like introduced a lot of
New
characters
characters, yeah.
recently, so we still got to work with them. I mean, Civil War did a good job of tying them all together. I love the Vision.
Yes.
Vision, I mean, was
so cool.
my favorite thing about Avengers 2. So I actually wasn't the biggest fan. I know y'all love it, but I wasn't the biggest fan of Avengers 2. But
love it.
Vision.
He doesn't love it.
But Vision.
like it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know that you did. I didn't know that Cole.
Marvel on it. This guy loves it.
Well, Vision was a very big surprise. I mean, whenever he first came out, I mean, the gold cape, the way that it just like came off of his shoulders and just like dropped. I mean, even like the material, like the different patchwork that was on it, the detail of the cape, how he was very very pure, I guess, is just kind of how I thought of it. He is a computer turned, superhero. I don't know how he can fly, but it's the Infinity Stone. I know,
It's probably that,
but I just love how pure of a character he is and very calculated, very smart. I mean, he just thinks very differently from the rest
he's
of them.
different from all the other characters.
Yes.
He's really got a distinct voice in that crew.
Yes,
It's great.
I love it.
But just another thing I think about the TV show characters is just I feel like they're just the lesser characters. Not to like rag on them, but just Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Daredevil. Like I liked the first season of Daredevil. It was fun, but it was just not as interesting as any of the movies.
And
I would say.
they're not the Avengers either.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that's why you're not going to see them tied into the movies so much. We're focusing on the Avengers and we're building the Avengers.
Yeah,
now,
that's a good point.
The Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't know, are they considered the Avengers? They're kind of their own thing.
Yeah,
I know
their
they're
own
going to be in Avengers 3, but I don't
But
think
it's all building to the same thing. Daredevil's story, not building.
They're like
to.
the TV characters are like street level heroes.
Yeah.
they don't tie into the the Infinity Stones and Thanos and that whole story. It's just different stories. I don't see why they should cross over.
Which brings up another point, though. After Infinity Stones and Thanos, what does it look like for the MCU
Who knows?
film-wise? Because if we're saying that they're not related to the MCU film-wise just because they're not related to Thanos and the Infinity Stones, does that mean the films are purely there for that story? And then what happens after that story?
Maybe they'll become more integrated in Phase 4. Maybe that's an interesting point.
I mean, do you think that in Avengers 3 Thanos is going to die? I mean, have we already discussed this once before? I don't know if y'all have, is what I'm saying.
No.
We've talked about it a little bit.
Really? If Thanos is going to
not necessarily die, but if they're going to defeat him or not, what's that look like?
Yeah,
We've talked
no
about that a little bit.
I mean,
we both have no idea.
Here's a question: how many people do you think how many of our heroes that we've come to love are going to die and
That
never
is
be back?
my biggest question.
That is a good question.
4.
4?
All Avengers,
That's my guess.
All the original Avengers.
I could kind of see that happening.
Yeah.
I could see them wiping out some. I mean, they only have contracts for
Tony
so long.
Cap and Thor. I could see them all dying.
That would be interesting.
The original 3. And Hulk. I mean, they can't even do Hulk solo movies. So to kill him would be, it makes sense.
Maybe that's why they're using as much of them as they can right now. You got Civil War, which includes Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans.
And I know you haven't been in any of our previous conversations about this, but
I don't want to double dip.
Constantly talk about how I wish someone would have died. I feel like someone would have died, and there were moments for people to die that they've taken away now. Specifically, Phil Coulson, Nick Fury, and it's my biggest thing with Captain America too. It's not necessarily someone dying, but that the second Captain America, Winter Soldier, when S.H.I.E.L.D. turns out to be infiltrated by Hydra, that no one we've cared about is part of Hydra. So
What if they are? We still don't know yet.
Didn't you?
Great, they should have used it already.
Didn't you hear that Captain America is like part Hydra?
Yeah, in the
most
comics, he's
comic
Hydra
book,
now, yeah.
most recent comic book.
Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, which completely changes Captain America.
Yeah, it's real
It
weird.
makes no sense. I don't know enough about it. All I know is, there was a
there
line.
are rumors that it's like
Yeah.
it's a misdirect, that they're going to run it like this for a while to reveal that he was not really Hydra.
Oh, a double agent.
Something like that. Double.
That could be smart.
Classic.
Who knows?
Snape.
Snape.
Exactly.
That's exactly it. Wow.
But yeah, just how much that all these characters we've cared about are just nothing really that insanely motivating, or some things, but nothing that as far as death or someone betraying that bad. They're all still together, even if they have disagreeable moments that push them somewhere. Yeah. There's nothing, no one's died because of a choice they've made, or no one has turned out to be a traitor the whole time, and that's caused a diversion in the group. Nothing like that. They're still all tightly knit, and nothing has really pushed the boundaries too far. There's been some things, but nothing too great.
Nothing catastrophic or game changing.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think they're saving that.
I know.
For Infinity War.
But I think it would have been perfect for something like Civil War.
Yeah.
And then, I think Betrayal would have been perfect for Winter Soldier, and then Death would have been perfect for Civil War.
Interesting.
Yeah, Spider-Man's totally going to die in Avengers 3.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
They're just going to make 1 or 2 movies and he's gone.
But how crazy would that be? Because Iron Man roped him in. Tony Stark was like, "Hey, come," and then he dies.
Yeah.
How
That'd be
bad
crazy.
that would mess with Tony.
Yeah, it
See?
would. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what the next movie, Spider-Man is all about. He brought him in, and now he doesn't want something bad to happen to him. That's what the whole movie's about. I mean, so I think we're already gonna get it. Watch it be that they decide to leave the kid at home. They don't want to bring him in. We don't think you're ready, so sorry, you're not going to be a part of Avengers 3. What if they don't want him to fight Thanos? I don't see. I mean, Thanos is a space character. I don't see how Spider-Man can work in space.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't see him in space.
I can't picture the fight sequences at all in Avengers 3. I still don't know how they're going to do it. And I'm very interested
What if
to
there's
know.
no fight scenes? It's all philosophical conversations about what is life and death, and
I mean,
you know,
there's no skyscrapers really just floating in space that Spider-Man can swing.
there's crazy planets though. I feel like it won't just be in space.
I picture Tony making him like a suit that he can wear in space. So
we'll see.
Let's wrap this up with one more topic.
All right.
Oh wow, okay, let's bring it.
So, Black Panther is the next MCU movie.
Yeah, it is.
What do we think of that?
It looks great, I think.
Yeah,
cool.
I liked Black Panther and Civil War. To be honest, I've watched the Black Panther trailer without listening to the sound. It was like I think I was at work and like came across it or something like I just saw it and I was like, "Ooh, this looks cool," but or there was something going on to where I couldn't hear it. Like I wasn't allowed to listen to it. I didn't have my headphones on. And I just saw the scenes, and so a lot of it I couldn't really connect to, but it looked great. Yeah. I'm glad that there's going to be a Black Panther movie. I just don't know too much about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm excited. I'm excited because it seems like another step towards Marvel actively trying to do something different.
Yeah.
Like they've built up this huge canon of movies, and it's like now we need to start taking some risk and doing different things with like Thor Ragnarok, hopefully, and Black Panther. I think they're gonna do it. Like because one of their most successful movies has been Guardians of the Galaxy because they took a huge step to do something different.
Yeah.
It's like great, continue that, and that's what it seems like for me.
I trust that they're going to do it justice and make it fit and also be fresh. You know, like I think that having the Black Panther character, it will allow them to make those different chances like they did with Guardians.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to stick to the Thor, Iron Man, Captain America type structure. You know, Black Panther can be its own thing. And so, I mean, we'll just have to see how it goes. And like I said, I can't really speak too much about it. And plus, we only have one trailer.
Yeah.
So
at this point, we only have one. I'm sure when this comes out, there'll be several.
I'm super excited though.
Yeah.
It looks sweet.
Me too.
Even it just looked visually stunning in the trailer.
That's what I saw.
Colorful.
Yeah.
Very
I
colorful.
really like that.
Good CGI. I mean, it just, it looked great.
Can you look up who the director is? I think it's the guy who did Creed. What are you waiting for?
It's Ryan Coogler.
Are you giving me some edit?
I'm giving you edit.
Thank you.
I get it.
Fantastic. All right. What a great note to end on. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you want to keep supporting the podcast, it'd be great if you could share this show with a friend, leave us a review in iTunes, and do all that jazz. That'd be awesome. Check out the description for what we're talking about next week and tune in next week. We'll see y'all then. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
See ya.
Later, guys.